What's up? It's Collin with your Week 8 college football picks. This week I'm going to be throwing 5 picks at you with a parlay at the end, so make sure you watch all the way to the end to see if you can make some money on that. First pick this week is going to be Pittsburgh -1.5 in the first half over Clemson. The reason for this is that Pittsburgh is actually the number one team in first half scoring, whereas Clemson's 118th, which is only a step above Vanderbilt. It's pretty rough for them. Pittsburgh's actually plus 121 in scoring in the first half this season, which is an average of 20.2 points per game over their opponents, whereas Clemson is positive 43, but only plus 8.6. So I think Pittsburgh offense is slept on this year. I know they just got ranked this week, but I think they have some of the most impressive offensive stats in the nation. 6.3 yards per play, which is 26th in the nation. 0.543 points per play, which is number 9th in the nation. They have 338 pass yards per game, which is number 7, and 8.9 yards per pass, which is number 17. And on top of all that, they take care of the ball. They have the best interception rate in the country at a 0.53%. So if you book that one, I think that's going to be a good one for us this week. Number 2 is Middle Tennessee State versus UConn. I'm going to take the under on this one. That's -104, and that's going to be because both teams are coming off 2 straight underperformances. UConn was averaging -13.5 on the total, and then MTSU is -4.5 on the total as well. So both teams have a porous defense, but neither really, I think, have the offensive ability to really take advantage of that. Both teams average less than 24 points per game, even playing against subpar opponents. I mean, Middle Tennessee State's strength of schedule is 81st in the nation, and UConn is 130th. I think it's going to be a sloppy, hard-to-watch game. I don't think it's going to be anything outside of just some offenses making mistakes. And I think if you put a bad offense against a bad defense, it's more on the offense to not make mistakes than it is on the defense. And that's what we see most of. So I think the under 54 is going to be bookable this week for us as well. Next game I have is Oregon on the money line, plus 110 over UCLA. Oregon has been the underdog only once this year to Ohio State, and they won in convincing fashion in the horseshoe. UCLA is 3-2 against teams when they're the favorite, so that's pretty much to their favor as well. And they both have the ability to stop each other on the run side of the ball. So Oregon allows 136.8 rushing yards per game to UCLA's 228 on offense, and UCLA's defense only allows 95.3, which is just ridiculous compared to Oregon's 216 on offense. So I think this game's going to come down to whoever can pass the ball better. Both teams average 206 yards per game on offense and allow 295 on defense. But I think it's going to also come down to the X factor, which is the tail of the tape that shows that I think the Ducks have a little bit better performance in close games. They perform as one of the top teams in the second half this year, proving that they can close out games when needed, even if fighting back into it. So I think we can put money on the Ducks this week. I think that's going to be a pretty good win for us. And I think the Ducks need it too. You know, they're coming into this. They need to win this game in order to keep their college football hopes alive for the Pac-12, and even then it doesn't even look good. Next game is University of Texas San Antonio -6.5 over Louisiana Tech. I see that at about 114 across the board. UTSA, meet those Roadrunners. They're the hottest team in the nation right now, coming into their first ever ranked week. They're undefeated, and they're 6-1 against the spread this year. The last 3, they've had a plus 19.3 point per game differential and a 75.5 yard per game differential over their opponents. Louisiana Tech's been playing subpar. They're not bad, but they're just not playing great. They're going 1-2 against an average rank of 83rd in the nation, minus 5.3 points per game and a minus 30.7 yards per game differential. Some key stats to look at. So follow me on this one. This one might be a little bit tough to follow. UTSA has a 92.86 red zone scoring percentage with a 7-yard play or per play average on offense. Louisiana Tech allows 91% red zone scoring on defense. And allows 5 yards per play on average. So what this is all telling me is that the Roadrunners are going to march down the field on methodical drives, and Louisiana Tech really won't be able to stop them once they get to the red zone. So I don't think it's going to be a massively high-scoring game, but I think UTSA is going to be able to take advantage of that porous defense, especially in the red zone. I mean, we're talking over 90% on both sides. I mean, if they get to inside the 20, it's almost a done deal. So that's where I like theirs. So the next one is Ohio State -21 versus Indiana. This is about minus 114 right now on books across the board. I mentioned this in our last video, and I'm going to roll with it this week. Trend to watch is, once again, Indiana is 0-4 against the spread versus ranked opponents, and Ohio State is 2-1 against the spread when they're favored by 21 points or greater. So All in all, Ohio State's looking like Ohio State finally. They're coming off 4 straight wins of over 21 points. They're actually averaging 40.25 points per game in terms of a point differential. But I will say, kind of a little disclaimer here, Indiana's a much better team than the last 4 that Ohio State has played, which is Maryland, Rutgers, Akron, and Tulsa. So the X factor here is that Ohio State has to dominate. They have to. They have to dominate the remainder of their games, especially the non-ranked games, in order to make their college football chances viable. I mean, this is a team that learned from that loss to Oregon, and they're really playing pissed off. And they're playing like the Ohio State that we know that they are. So, all right, those are my 5 picks. Now for this week, I want to toss in a little parlay action. I like to throw one parlay personally per week. I like this one. It's a plus 1,945 odds. It's the Pitt money line, which is a minus 161. Oregon money line plus 110. Ohio State minus 21, which is a minus 114. And Oklahoma State money line, which is somehow a plus 220. I don't understand why it's that way, but I think there's great value in that. Even if you want to, as a little added bonus, toss that onto your bets this week. But that would mean that a $100 bet would win $1,945. All right, everybody, that's this week's picks. I hope we do a little bit better than last week where we did a push. Hopefully that parlay hits. So even if we lose all of them except for the ones that are in the parlay, we're in the money. All right, let me know how you like this week's pick in the comments below, and let's make some money this week.